if that makes it easier.
Mm-hmm.
So actually, let me make sure that it doesn't just blare um, on my end.
You put my new last name. Thank God you spelled it right.
Well, I used your email.
Um,
I could not. You think
yeah.
I could really, as a white guy, sound that out? Like
I mean, your last name is a doozy
Calicut?
when you first look at it.
My
Okay,
last
I
name
have
is
it.
difficult enough, man. Difficult enough.
All right, cool. I told Zoya to hop on.
Yeah, Zoya, hop
So
in. Got Easter. Got your awesome background.
I wasn't prepared. I didn't take home my work computer.
Honestly, to be fair, I'm never prepared.
Yeah, I know. You're like, just hop on a couple of minutes before. So I did 5 minutes before and you weren't even on. And I was like, okay.
That's bull, Celina. I was here 5 minutes before, and it was like
You
it was 7:56, and I looked at the time. I looked over at the screen. I was like, "Oh, she's not here. I'm gonna use the restroom real quick."
I was there.
Bull crap. What's
Maybe
up,
like
Randall?
yeah, maybe like 6 minutes.
All right, so let's catch up with you. How are things going? How's life? You know, what's new in the realm of school, teaching? What's new in the realm of Celina? What's happened since the last time you've come on?
Things are good. Things are good. When's the last time I came on? Was that like November, October? It's been a while. It's been before December, right?
You know, I think it hasn't actually been. Yeah, I think it has been that long, but I was thinking longer for some reason. But I guess it has been since November.
It's been a while. Well, school's the same. More kids are coming back since the last time we talked, as people are like getting more comfortable, I guess. I'm good. My name's changed now. I know it says Celina Chan. Let me change that. Guys, I got married.
Big life update, guys.
Yeah.
We all married. Perfect. So the hubby, how's he doing?
He's good. He's good, you know, gaming, work, same old.
Might have to introduce him later on. I think he's been on, you know, very briefly.
Yeah, he's popped in before, but I don't think he's made an appearance on your podcast for like a thing yet.
Yeah, definitely not a full episode, but he's definitely popped in, you know, when you've had technical difficulties on.
Yeah, this is his setup.
He's got the good camera quality. That's the whole point, though. That's the whole point.
Mm-hmm. This isn't even working out. I think I'm talking on this thing here.
Yeah, it sounds like it's that mic. What's up, Sammy? Randall, Sammy, how you guys doing? You guys doing all right tonight?
Hi.
So, yeah, tell me about schools. Tell me about how everything's going. Tell me what's going on.
Schools are good. They are doing Georgia milestone testing this year, which is like a really big deal. That was like, so that's like the state test. Do you remember when we were in school, we had to take like the CRCT to like go to the next grade level type deal? Okay, so Georgia milestones, or GMAS as people call it, is equivalent to that. So all the elementary school kids, 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade have to take it in order to go to the next grade level. And so they canceled that last year because COVID hit. We usually take it in April. So COVID hit in like March. So they canceled it last year. But they just decided this month that they're gonna make them take it this year. And so people are like really upset about it because they're saying because of the really weird start and the whole concurrent teaching thing we're doing, it's not fair to like assess the kids, but state of Georgia wants to do it. So
yeah,
we're
state of Georgia,
them.
You know, state of Georgia is kind of weird when it comes to
Hi, Nikki.
She's in chat. She gives the thumbs up. Corona virus. I love it, guys. Thank you. Yeah, state of Georgia is weird when it comes to testing and stuff. What do you know our placement in Georgia, like where we rank out of the otare states in terms of education?
Not sure. I think Gwinnett's up there, but I mean,
you teach in the Gwinnett area, right?
Yeah, I'm in Gwinnett County. Okay. Yeah, Gwinnett's up there for like good education, but I don't know. We're kind of lacking in some areas this year.
Have you heard of Vygotsky's theory of proximal zone development?
Mm-hmm. I used that in an interview. Yeah.
Did you really?
I did. I think it got me my first job.
Did it really?
I mentioned it in an interview. Yeah, they were like, so how do you cater to the needs of diverse students, like students that have different needs. And I was like, well, I do the zone of proximal development by Gotsky, making sure the kids have a little bit of a challenge, but it's like attainable. And the guy's like, and I was like, yes, thank you, college. I was like, cool.
Yeah, we had to teach that in our human development class, talking about adolescence and talking about best way to teach. Because you teach first to fifth, right? Elementary?
I'm certified K through 5, but I've only taught 3rd and 4th grade, like myself, like working wise. I mean, I student taught in other grades, but like I've only taught 3rd and 4th since I've had my certificate.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Daizing, is that how I say that? Krukyo sent me, said you have a punch and pie. We got them all here, buddy. Got them all. So, have you noticed any differences in kids that have come back to school? Like, has there been any? What's been the impact?
They are lazy.
Really?
The kids are so lazy. It's really hard to get them to do stuff because I think that whole gap where they just had off, they've kind of been at home, and like some parents are really on them about, making sure they're keeping up to date with like reading books and doing what they got to do with their homework. And then some parents are kind of like, whatever they want to do goes at home. So they come back to school and they think it's just a free for all, or like they're so behind because they've missed so much. It's just half and half.
So what do you do for the kids that have been so far behind?
Or
what is there any sort of requirements? Like what's set in place to help these kids?
Well, are we talking about the kids that are like in the school or the kids that are digital learning still?
I guess both. Both are a problem, I guess.
The kids that are in person, we're still required to keep going on. So I teach 3rd grade. So if my kids are still behind and like say they're like technically 2nd grade-ish, but they're in 3rd grade, we're still teaching 3rd grade content. But at the same time, when we pull them for small groups, then we like reteach the stuff that they need to go back and do. So it's a lot of backtracking this year, and everyone knows that kids aren't where they need to be right now, but we're playing that catch-up game, which is fine because everyone's on the same boat. As far as the digital kids, though, the ones I've noticed, at least for my class, the ones that are digital are the ones who need to come back in person because they're at home on Zoom and they're like playing with their dog, or like they're in bed, like in their pajamas with their covers over them. Like they're not paying attention in Zoom. And so they'll turn their video off, or they're not turning in their assignments. And as the teacher, you can't really force them to do something because they're at home. So it's kind of like you do what you can, and whatever happens, happens. It's all on the parents now since they're at home. But that's the hard part about them being digital still.
So have you noticed like a decline in grades over, you said there was a lot of catching up to do. So have grades declined a lot since? Really?
Grades have declined, but the school is doing their part by making, so typically your test grades would weigh more than your classwork grades in the grade book. But because we are taking into account like students who are behind and stuff, everything in the grade book is weighted the same. So it's like 50-50. So your test grades weigh the same as like your classwork grades, at least for my school. Okay. So grades are low, but I mean, we're trying to make it an easy transition back by doing that.
In terms of adjusting grades, or?
Yeah, by making all the grades like equal percentage. So that way, like say they bomb a test, we don't want it to bring them down significantly if a test is worth like 80% of their grade versus 50% and 50% for your classwork. So we do it that way so that if they don't do well on their tests, then they can still have a fighting chance to bring up their grade with classwork, which is where you can get some teacher help in that. And it's not like all on your own like a test would be.
Gotcha. Guys, I'm looking at chat. I promise. I promise I'm looking at chat. Henry, I'll let the chat answer that. It looks like Kayla already did. Congrats on your wedding, Celina, says Randall.
Thanks, Randall.
Kayla already answered that. Yeah, I was thinking it was cost 2 credit courses. Enjoy your childhood, man. Hey, Randy. Yeah, you're probably right. Patrick DeWitt, how you doing, buddy? Imagine paying full price for an e-college course. Peak foolishness. Oh, congrats. Yeah, that's I do get frustrated on hearing about how tuition is full cost with colleges. It doesn't seem. I feel nice backgrounds. It doesn't feel right. It feels like kind of a
Hi,
rip off at this
Zoya.
point. College is a vibe. Yeah, it's just crazy because I'm not even a freshman yet. Dylan reading chat. You probably gonna put like an upside down monitor or something, or just type a bunch of gibberish. Y'all know I can't read. Literally just reads what the person says and then goes. I want to make you feel included, man. I gotta read chat. I want to read exactly what the person says. Oh, Dylan reads chat. I love it.
Wait, what's going on with tuitions you were talking about?
Most colleges are charging full tuition, right? Or even e-learning and digital learning being a hybrid course or full online, which is crap because part of the reason why you would pay a full tuition is because you pay for the faculty, you pay to be in class, you pay for basically what would be the rent of that facility. I claim the seat in this class, but you don't do that when you're taking an online course through Zoom. So it's kind of outrageous that college is charging full tuition. I think Zoya, she kind of got scammed because her school was doing like a tuition reimbursement, but it was only like, what was it, like $500 out of the total like cost of tuition? It's like, that's a scam, bro.
Dang.
It's ridiculous.
Sorry, Zoya.
Yeah, I know. She definitely got ripped off. College is a scam. If you're in honest work and you have a good work ethic, you'll get promoted and move up. You get Dylan. You get a professor like Dylan that just reads off his slides. Absolutely. That's the easiest way to do it. How do you set up class?
Me?
Yeah, how do you set up class? Like how is it? How is class set up for you? You got to come in
Like
with a lesson
in
plan?
person? Oh, like in person or digital? Because I teach both.
Okay,
like,
so what is
time.
all right? So what is the difference between teaching in person and digital for a teacher? Like, what is the difficulty?
So
I know that's a loaded question, right?
That's like really broad. It wasn't very specific.
Yeah, I didn't do a good job of wording that question. Yeah. So what is it like teaching in? Let's start with that. What is it like teaching an online class versus an in-person class? And then we'll go to how you set those up.
Dang, okay. Sounds like an interview. I always feel like it's an interview when I come on here. It's getting hot. Okay.
I try not to make it that way.
I'm just kidding. You're good. So remember I teach 3rd grade, guys. So this isn't like college. Okay. You got to be more animated. But okay. So normal teaching, like face-to-face, you do your normal lesson plans. We teach all subjects. And then we have like a specials, lunch and recess. But basically I would do like a mini lesson where I'm teaching whatever standard it is for that day. And then we do small groups where I pull kids in different groups to work with me at the back table while other kids are doing like their independent work. And then they do collaborative work. And then we move on to the next subject. So, I mean, that's how a typical classroom would look like for me. Digitally, it's different though. So for digital learners, we set a schedule where they have to come on and meet us for small groups on Zoom. But as far as mini lessons goes, like their lessons for the day, they're pre-recorded because there's kids that will like not wake up on time or they'll join in at like noon because they slept in. And so we can't control that. Those are things that are like out of our control. So the way we help with that is record lessons. So it's there for them to watch when they can. And they're expected to join the Zooms for like their different small groups. But if they don't attend at that time, then they just miss it. So it's really iffy with digital. Like there's only so much we can do on our part. But it's all online and recorded for them. So, yeah.
So the people that have returned back, have you noticed like any differences in attention or I know you said they were lazy. Like are they?
Yeah, it's just effort. Like I feel like they don't try as hard And like a lot of kids now, um, they're not doing well, and we're already cutting back so much because we are going at a slower pace, or we're backtracking things that they missed from the previous year. And so I just wonder when things go back to normal, like full speed, they're going to struggle just because they're already struggling right now. And it's not even full speed of what we would typically do in a school year.
And this is a generational thing. This is like everybody that's been impacted.
I mean, in my school at least, but I could see it happening everywhere else. Just because right now we're teaching Monday through Friday, normal content, like new stuff, new teaching. And then on Fridays, it's like a catch-up day. So they have like a flex Friday where they can catch up on their missing work and they can complete missing assignments. They have so many opportunities to just turn work in and redo stuff versus like a normal school year, we would be teaching Monday through Friday and we wouldn't have like 2 weeks of time for you to make up work. It's like you either do it or you don't.
Patrick says, LOL, it's like Twitch clips. What you mean it's like Twitch clips? Like going back and rewatching like a video. Hate to tell her, but that's not a good thing. Like Twitch clip. I'm confused. Clip? I think he means that going back and watching a video is not the same as interacting in person.
Mm-hmm. He said, yeah. Yeah, I mean, last year when COVID hit, we didn't really have a plan on like what to do. So we did do the live teaching on Zoom. But the thing is, like, the kids that are home, like, I mean, they're getting on at random times and people are missing it. So it's like, I mean, we pre-record it the best that we can. And then if parents are at work and their kid needs help, then the parents have a pre-recorded video to see what the teacher did to go back and help them if their parents are being involved. I mean, that was just the best solution that we could do for the digital kids. And then as far as face-to-face teaching, then that's their job to join like the live Zooms when we do small groups, like, you know.
It just sucks. I mean, I understand the logic, like you can't force people to do it.
Yeah.
But it does suck for individuals who don't come from families that are more invested in the education involving around the child.
Like we have an instance where, so I have a classroom that's really mixed. So I teach general education kids as well as like ESOL kids and special education. They're all like mixed in my room. I have like a mixture. There's a kid who's at home who receives services because they're technically classified as resource. So they're like really struggling, but because they're at home, I'm assuming mom or dad is like doing their work for them because they're making A's on everything. And so
was that typical of the kid before they?
No, this kid is in resource because they're not doing well in school. But since they're home, they're submitting all this A+ work, which I guess the parents are like, great, their grades are going to be wonderful. But what's going to hurt them next year is they're going to test out of resource. And when they come back face to face, they're going to be put into a general education classroom, which will end up not helping them because they're not going to get their services. Behind. Yeah, because it wasn't their true authentic work, you know.
That's like Vygotsky's zone of proximal development, right? He's like performing at a higher need, and so he's going to end up needing more supports later on. Yeah. Patrick says, yeah, I get you're all doing your best. I'm just saying that these kids that have shit parents, to say it, I guess, nicely, are going to get run over in life, falling behind.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree. That's something that's difficult. Again, we can't force these people, so it's like how the heck
there's only so much you can do. I mean, we do Saturday school, which isn't really like Saturday school. Like we let anyone, even the digital kids, come into the building where there's like less people there and they can work with the teacher, but like, I mean, half the kids don't come.
Yeah, it's a Saturday, so I wouldn't either.
Well, but I mean, what I'm saying is like,
wouldn't either, to be honest.
We're offering all this stuff. They're still going to take the Georgia milestones in April, and then there's still going to be summer school this summer, but it's going to look different this year. This year's just different.
My fear is that when students start to fail the Georgia milestone and start to fail these assessments or come back in class, they're going to say that teachers or the school system did, when obviously there
Yeah.
is enough going on. You guys are offering digital learning, recording the learning,
Yeah.
individual personalized plans, offering Saturday school.
Hmm.
There is enough going on. It's how people react and how people respond, and if they take upon these resources. And
Yeah. I think the face-to-face kids that are like in person are going to be fine because they're in school, so they're getting live instruction and it's like normal school. I think the ones that are digital, if you don't have a parent there monitoring you and making sure that you're like doing your work and you're actually studying at home, if you're not doing that digitally, then those are the ones that are going to suffer the most. Because I do have a couple digital kids who just are home because their parents don't want them to be at school, but their parents are really invested and involved, and they join every single small group, and they're online typing me questions throughout the day, and I'm answering. Like, they're involved and they're fine. But there are some who don't do anything, and their parents aren't, holding them accountable.
I know we talked last time about Title I schools and the difference between those, and
Yeah.
the difference between those and higher end schools. There was
Mm-hmm.
actually a model for schools that I actually wanted to run by you, and I kind of wanted to just hear your opinion on, um, to see what you guys thought and what everybody in chat thought. Angelic Elza, how you doing? I made it perfect. But how schools are distributed right now, at least for funding, is through taxpayer dollars and homeowner tax, property tax specifically.
Mm-hmm.
And the taxes in that area contribute to the well being of the school, vice versa,
Mm-hmm.
or at least a simple explanation. And so I saw a good argument for doing away with that system. And the argument or the adjustment was giving students and families a free tuition voucher and make tuition or schools like elementary school, high school, tuition based. And what you do is you give the students tuition vouchers like $8,000 or something like that to pay for semester of the year every year, and you give them that voucher and you say, hey, now you get to choose what school you want to go to. You're no longer district area, like choose whatever you want. And so the idea is to kind of use capitalism against the system and
Mm-hmm.
like make it work for you. And so that way schools would compete for the money. I mean, obviously we know there's some issues with capitalism and sometimes people work for profit more than, the
Mm-hmm.
well-being, but it's sort of the idea of using capitalism and the advantage of students and making schools compete for the students. And the better schools perform, the better outcomes that the students have, the more likely that students and families will use that $8,000 tuition voucher to help pay for that school. So I was just wanting to know chat's opinion. I wanted to know your guys'
Yeah.
opinion. Um, I thought that was a really interesting idea and a really interesting alternative to how we currently run schools.
So how would you do like buses if they're not bound to going to the school, they're homeschooled in their area and they can go anywhere, then they'd have to have transportation, right? Like from their parent.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, they could have transportation for their parent, or you could probably use some of that voucher money to pay for some sort of transportation.
Oh.
I mean, it's
Okay.
not all worked out. It's not all very specific, and it's not.
Yeah.
But it's a theory on how you could run things. And
Yeah. What about the schools that currently like don't have money right now to compete for those students?
say that again.
Like you're saying that the schools have to compete for their students so that they would go to their school, basically
Yeah.
they get to choose where they want to go. Well, what about like schools that already don't have enough resources competing with the school that has them? Or are you trying to say that everyone needs to start off on an even playing field?
That's what I'm saying. I say start off on an
Okay.
even playing field.
Yeah, because like if you did that right now,
Yeah.
it's gonna I'd be
No.
like, because I came from a Title I school that had so much funding because they were Title I. They had every kid in every classroom had a Chromebook. I left that school to go to a non-Title I school. And the school I'm at now, I get 3 to 4 laptops for my entire class because we don't have funding. So
The school you're at now?
I don't have Title I funding because they're not Title I. So because they're not Title I, they don't get the extra funding. So we have to do things like fundraisers, and like PE challenges where like you go and sell like cookies and stuff,
Yeah.
Like, those types of things, those kinds of fundraisers. But yeah, I mean, we don't have a lot of resources at my school right now because, I mean, Title I has more funding.
Even though Title I is typically in a more poverty-stricken area, correct?
But we get more funding from, I don't know if it's federal or state. I don't know the specifics. It's not from the parents. It's from
Right. I
somewhere
get what you're
else.
saying. Yeah, like grants and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got you.
Right, because they're Title I. And then the school I'm at now is a little bit more middle class, so we're not considered Title I, and so we don't get that extra funding.
Oh, that's interesting. I actually never thought about it like that.
It's a misconception. Y'all think that the rich schools or areas have like better schools. That's not always the case.
No,
but we do funding through like fundraisers. So I mean, generally like families and parents are generous. I think we did a fundraiser recently at our school, and we got a couple 100,000, I think.
100,000?
No, you're not 100,000. I'm sorry, not 100,000. Maybe like 20,000. I don't know. It was in the thousands.
That's still a good amount.
It was a lot. It was a lot.
I could pay for a couple laptops, couple computers, and maybe some
bonuses.
Yeah,
they're buying for that. Yeah.
Let me go back to some of these comments real quick. Randall did say, he mentioned his health and comments earlier. Randall, I want to tell you that I did notice that, and I'm proud of you for working on your physical therapy. Really proud about that. Let's see. Angelic saying, I miss so many streams, by the way. If you don't know me, I'm kindly Elza or ZZ. Let's see. The standard of tests will be reduced. Just watch for the admin. It isn't about helping students learn. It's about protecting their jobs. This isn't against this guest, of course. Yeah, of course. I think that's more of the school systems in general. I think I wanted to go through chat, but I'm gonna go on a rant here. I really think that teachers are underpaid and overworked.
Yes.
Underpaid and overworked. And I don't think I can stress that enough. The ratio that students and teachers have to deal with, what is the ratio these days? I know it's always constantly increasing because they're always constantly trying to shove kids in school systems, but what is your ratio?
In my room, like face to face, or you mean like my entire class?
Entire class. Let's do that first.
I have like 22 kids.
Okay, that's a bad
yeah,
ratio.
but I mean, my first year teaching, I had like 28, 30.
Yeah, that's a bad ratio.
Yeah.
And if you're talking about
and in a typical school year, I mean, it's like that. Yeah.
You
not
can't
possible in a room like that.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's not even. It's hard to do when you're talking about 22 students. It's a little bit more manageable, but the classroom size, like for schools, I think the research has shown to be like 10 to 15 if you really want real individualized
right. That's
work.
That's
ideal.
True. And they're wanting to social distance everyone in our room, 22 kids. Yeah, right. That's not
yeah, right.
That's what I'm just saying. Like the beginning of the school year, they're like, yeah, we're going to social distance everyone. And then I had like 10 at first. I was like, all right. And then it grew to like 12 kids, 15, 18. And then I'm like, yeah, no.
What's to stop overpopulation in schools? Yeah. That was a comment by Zoya previously. I bet your guest could make way more money in a competitive teaching market.
Probably.
Schools will pick the good students and poor performing students will be left behind. Well, isn't there the No Child Left Behind thing?
You know what?
Okay.
I'm going to say something that might get me in trouble. Hopefully no one from my school's listening to this.
Oh, we're not that big. And if we do get big, you know what? I'll protect you, okay?
Okay. But I mean, freedom of speech, right? I mean, I'm off the clock right now.
Yeah, freedom of speech.
I mean, like right now with all the kids that are behind, I have had people tell us like in our planning area, like when we're planning for like the Georgia Milestones, for example, we're focusing on the kids that are high or that are close to making it. And the ones that are so far behind, low key, they're telling us to like, don't even bother because they're not going to make it. And that's really sad because, you want to help everyone. But like when you have someone higher up say that, you're just like, damn, like
I get the logic behind it.
I do too, but like they're always gonna like they're never going to ever get better if you just forget about them.
Yeah,
you know,
I 100, like I said, I get the logic behind it. I get the logic of, you know, they're so far behind, you know, it might as well they'll just play catch up next year or something like that.
Mm-mm.
But
yeah, I didn't agree with it.
I agree with you.
Yeah,
I don't agree with that logic.
Leaving them behind. Yeah,
it's not a humanistic approach, and it's not the right moral obligation that we should be having towards these children. We should be focusing on, you know, I think you agree with me strongly that we should be focusing on the children and, you know, making sure that everybody passes.
They're just so gun-ho about like test scores and like where our school stands in all of the testing. Testing is such a big thing in education right now. So that's why they're like that. I'm reading the chat.
Yeah, I'm trying to catch them on chat too. I don't know where to really start. Guys, I'm so sorry. I get so invested in the conversation. I lose track of chat. So let's just you know what? I'm gonna need somebody when we get bigger and chat's just like spamming. I'm gonna need someone just to pick out the good questions and the good responses so we can see everything. Let's see. It wasn't about my physical therapy. Oh, it wasn't, Randall? All right, hold on. I'm going back. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna find this. Randall. Guys, we're putting chat on hold. Putting everything on hold. Give me 1 second. Dylan, I got an update on my health and my breathing. Breathing's gotten bad. I have to do my breathing treatment 5 times a day now. Is it apnea or asthma? Are you okay? Did you contract corona, man? How you doing? Just send me a message, man. I'd love to, you know, keep up to date with your health, buddy. How do we determine who a good teacher is, though? Couldn't be the test scores alone. I think that's how the state really determines how.
You know, they say that they don't judge you off of your test scores, but at my old school, and I loved my old principal, she was wonderful. Okay, so no hate to her at all, but she was all really data driven. She would post every teacher's scores, and granted, it's not our scores; these are how the kids do. So, like, she would post every teacher's classroom scores in the staff room, and you could see every teacher, their name, and all the subjects, and what their class made under each subject. And it was like, you know, sometimes embarrassing, but like if you have like a teacher who's gifted certified who teaches gifted kids, of course her class is going to score high. Whereas I had special ed and ESOL kids, like they're going to score average, you know, or below average. And so like you're comparing scores like that, it's like not fair almost.
Yeah, and then you put teachers in competition and they have to get paid.
Pay for performance.
That's ridiculous.
No, thank you.
Yeah, I think we should do away with that whole system, to be honest. I think we really need to have a legitimate discussion on whether or not this is... I personally believe, and I had this conversation with another guest on our show. His name was Gabriel, but we had a conversation on what the value of school is in society. You know, what... Oh my gosh, my camera keeps going out. I think it's Zoom, man. I don't know why it keeps doing this. But we need to reevaluate the purpose of school. And I think this whole coronavirus, there you go, Kayla, we talked about it. Coronavirus pandemic has really emphasized the reevaluation of schools and what people generally think school is. Is it a glorified daycare center? Some people would say yes, which sadly is, you know, some people's answers. Or is it dedicated to helping students and foster their education so that we can develop, you know, competent members of society? Let's say that. Competent members of society. And, you know, no matter what the reevaluation is, I think we need to have an honest conversation about what it is and what we want to do with the school systems. Because obviously right now, in terms of global education, in terms of education throughout life and the value of education throughout life, each generation, the U.S. has gotten worse. So I think, we really need to have a strong conversation on what our values are as a culture pertaining to education. In my opinion, I think we need to have strong, strong values pertaining to the well-being of teachers in a classroom, to try and reduce the number of students in a classroom. That's why I offered the alternative to the to how taxes are used to go towards funding for schools. I think the alternative, although might not propose a great idea beginning, but at least it's a possibility, at least it's a solution, at least it's something, hopefully gets people talking. But I think we really need to have a strong conversation pertaining to that, where people value.
They need to, because a lot of people are leaving education, or there's lots of people who don't want to teach anymore. I know, like with the whole recently, like we haven't even been able to get lots of subs in the building until we like gave them a pay incentive. And so we've been lacking subs.
Patrick says, wait, you don't want to be judged on your performance. We should just pay more, no strings attached. Insane. I'm confused, buddy.
I think, is he saying that we should pay on performance?
Is that what you're saying? I think it's an indicator.
I mean, I'm not saying don't look at how students. I believe in looking at growth, not looking at scores. So, for example, if I have a kid who came to me scoring like 40s, right, and say they score 60s, they're technically, in the eyes of education, they're still failing, but they made growth. So like I like measuring growth versus measuring like
that's 120%
the test
increase,
scores,
right?
Right, because you're looking at their growth, low growth, high growth, or expected growth. And so right now they take growth under consideration, but a lot of schools look at scores. And
he says yes, of course, growth is performance over time. Okay, so I think he's in agreement with you.
Okay, cool.
I think he's in agreement with you. I actually have to. Dylan, give me mod. I don't know how to give mod on YouTube, to be honest. But I think I agree with you. Growth is a better indicator in terms of academic performance. There is I think a part of the struggle I have is education systems teach outdated topics. And not it's, I think it's in global scope of how education is taught and how education is run. But I think that there's a lot of outdated concepts. Like, why do we need to be interpreting the logos of Shakespeare's play? Like, I know
that's above me.
I know this is like high school concepts, but even in elementary school, like why aren't we focusing on things like socio-emotional development, like helping children develop proper coping skills for dealing with stress? Like, because obviously if there are bad parents at home, then maybe we could implement meditation at school. Or I know that's I mean, we do yoga. A little bit more of a philosophical topic, but you do yoga.
We do yoga at PE. I mean, at my school we do yoga, and that's not a part of the curriculum, but my PE teacher does yoga. I mean, so honestly, I feel like social emotional learning, although we don't have like a written out curriculum for it to teach it, good teachers will naturally implement that into their room. Right. Like, they find ways to make sure they're talking about ways to cope with problem solving strategies, things that you can do. Like, good teachers will incorporate that into their room. I'm not saying everyone does it, but some people will.
And I think again, it comes back to a reevaluation of the education system and what do we find important as a society? What do we find important in terms of topics that we want students to learn? Do we want to develop a well-being of children as they get older, so that way they can be socially competent in a world that is so emotionally driven? I think that's an important question. Patrick, no, you good, buddy. He says, I'm good. I just care about this topic, so I've got thoughts. No, please voice them, man. Just voice them.
I like you, Patrick.
Yeah, Patrick's he's just voicing some opinions.
That's
Passionate
fine.
about education, socio-emotional education would be nice, says Dell. I think so too, because we're talking about, in one of the classes that I teach,
Yeah.
we talked about early childhood education. We talked about socio-emotional skills
Mm-hmm.
that are sometimes neglected and can result to errors in decision making or sometimes logistical errors when they
Mm-hmm.
have other emotional problems. So, I mean, when you're under stress, I think one of the study is like if you have bills to pay and you're stressed by bills, your IQ drops by like 10 points. Although that applies to like people with, adult responsibilities, I think that still applies and applicable to the developing mind of the youth. I
Mm-hmm.
think, the stress that children are under can be.
Especially during these times now with like COVID and then like everything that happened throughout the summer. Like, I mean, these kids coming back into the classroom, we knew needed that social emotional learning because, they're coming back from COVID. Who knew what was going on with their families at home? People losing their jobs, staying home all the time. We had all those protests in the summer. Like, the kids have seen a lot.
Well, 2020 was just a weird year.
Well, yeah. I'm just saying it was a hot mess.
2020 was a weird year for all of us.
But who said be passionate? We need more passionate teachers for sure. Because a lot of teachers are like burning out or like they're dropping out. And,
Well, you guys have to deal with a lot more than,
yeah.
Someone in college does. And that's why I think you guys are so underpaid and underappreciated. And I mean, I love having you on because we can just love up on you and love up on your job when you come on. But for real, though, not only are you dealing with the social stresses of the children, but you have to deal with the regulation stresses of, our education system or our school board. And on top of that, if that wasn't enough, you're dealing with the social emotional problems of the parents. Like,
oh gosh, these parents, yeah,
like parents are just a whole new level.
Yeah, they are.
And if you even insinuate that their child is probably performing badly because it's just poor study habits, God help you.
You have the parents that are like on both extremes, parents that like don't care and won't ever respond to your like messages, or the parents that are like the helicopter parents that are like on you for everything and their child's an angel and they do no wrong.
Yeah, those are probably way more annoying.
Yeah, kind of. But the schools know like who they are. And so like they'll come up like causing a scene and we're like, oh, it's that parent. Like we know.
Yeah. Patrick says, I love the whole world and I want it to get better and not worse. Kids not learning is a huge roadblock for that. They're not going to need information. They are going to need information in the information age. No, I actually agree with him. In terms of digital age and how fast we're evolving and how fast students are learning. It's kind of scary for the newer generations and seeing, like just a couple people that have graduated shortly after me or even, kids that are like a decade younger than me, how smart they are. Holy crap. We're going to be in for a wild ride. If
they learn too much too soon.
You think so?
Like, well, I don't know. Like third grade, they're learning so much because they're on the internet all the time. I don't think when we were in third grade, we had access to that much. We still had dial-up back then, and like we weren't on our phones on all these apps that they're on now. Like they just have more access to so much stuff. They see more things. And so they know more at an early age.
Yeah, that scares me sometimes and it impresses me at the same time because I'm like, dang, these kids are so smart. They're so intelligent, but it also scares me because they see so much that they're not ready for,
Yeah.
Their frontal lobe is still developing, so it's their inhibition to control their behavior and their emotional responses are still developing. It impresses me and scares me at the same time. And sometimes I'm afraid that we're pushing hard curriculum on students that are not ready for it just because of their developmental patterns.
Yeah.
You can't teach an infant to be an Olympic runner before they've been able to walk. You know what I mean? So it's not like you have to wait for those developmental milestones to come about, right? Before you start teaching the infant to be an Olympic runner. Like, they have to learn to stand. But same is with the mental processes, right? The same is with cognitive functions. Like, you can't start teaching these concrete operational stages at an early age, specifically, or formal operational tasks like A equals B, B equals C, therefore A equals C. Like,
all these formulas and stuff.
Like, we get that. We get that we can make the inference from A to C, but a child that hasn't reached that developmental milestone might have a difficult time trying to grasp that concept because they can't develop the mental representation. They're developmentally not there. So,
well, I mean, like, they're all basing it off of like the state test that everyone gets evaluated on and has to pass. But like higher schools that are like ranked top in Gwinnett County are taking the same test that like the lower ranked schools are taking. So like, I don't know. They're upholding everyone to the same standard, which, I mean, I get it, and I don't know. It's like 50-50. Like, I see where they're coming from, but at the same time, like, if you're in one of those lower schools, it's like a struggle.
Well, states set their standards. So our standards in Georgia are different from standards in Texas and California, New York, which is interesting because I think a lot of the standards for most states, especially the ones I just named, are actually set a little bit lower because of the federally regulated laws like No Child Left Behind. They're set lower to actually accommodate those students and, hopefully get the students that are struggling to pass. So the standards are not set, you can look at it both ways. You could say the standard's set too high or the standard's not set high enough. It doesn't challenge the ones, the academically smart ones, and then they end up finding school boring and they don't want to do it anymore, and they don't think education is important and it's not challenging enough for them. So I think you run into a lot of issues.
We still do the No Child Left Behind. I mean, hardly.
No, I know. Yeah.
We really don't hold people back anymore, which, I mean, there's some kids that should be held back because they're just not ready, but we just keep passing these kids on. I think nowadays you only really get held back unless like your parent requests it.
Right. All right, let me read some of these comments. Private schools are more stricter than public schools. Uncensor the teachers and put it on YouTube.
Well, all these are jobs.
Absolutely. Block kids from the internet. Daydreams with Dylan. No, I did not say that. Actually, I do think when I have kids, I'm probably gonna not give them a smartphone until some developmental milestones have been reached. Because there are issues with TikTok and going through TikTok, and you could argue that social media plays a role in inhibiting your attention span or delaying the development of your attention span. And so we actually just covered this topic in Intro to Psych today, and we talked about how your attention span is like it's basically your consciousness, like how conscious you are, like you're focusing your consciousness, and your attention span is just so important. People don't realize it. All these companies, social media, these ads, these likes, these notifications, these bright smart devices, everything is competing for your attention. And we really don't know the full impact of all this in terms of digital age. So what it has to do with attention. So I think that if I could stress anything before we go tonight, attention is really important.
Okay, Professor Calicut.
You are under the assumption that our policies are completely based on science. Yeah, I know. Sadly, I wish they were. I wish they were developed on human development and milestones that we've reached. Dylan, this is the dirty jobs of chat shows, just interviews with regular folks about their lives. This one has been a banger. Love it. Perfect.
Thanks.
That's because we've had a fantastic guest and an active chat, so I appreciate that. The most trouble we have with kids today is the modern music they listen to. I think that they're Every generation says that. Yeah, I agree with Del. I think every generation says that. I think Elvis was considered too edgy for his time. So were the Beatles. Tripper Gore in the house. What's that mean? Not sure what that means.
No idea.
Don't know what that means, buddy. We're just gonna leave it though.
Okay.
But yeah, no, thank you, Celina, for coming out tonight. I really appreciate it. It's been a fantastic evening. Fantastic conversation.
Thanks for having me.
Always. Guys, you can follow Miss Celina. Say your last name.
Kapsengchanh.
Kapsengchanh. Okay,
yes.
That's not too bad. Okay,
it's not
worse.
horrible.
It looks worse than what I was. Yeah, I'm glad.
Or you could just call me Miss K, like the kids. I'm cool with that. Yeah, it's fine. Or Cat.
We could set limits
flexible.
on. All right, hold on one second. We could set limits on who could have kids, provide resources to parents. I could stabilize the education. Set limits on who could have kids. Oh,
people are gonna be having kids when they want to have kids.
You talk about headlines, Del. Epic professional says we shouldn't have kids. Specific people should have kids. Oh, Del. Shoot, man. You talk about controversial hot takes, man. You got 12-year-old girls listening to the WAP. I think there are bigger problems than the WAP, man. I say let people want to listen to what they want, to be honest, Randall. Oh my gosh, Google it. She tried to ban heavy metal in the 80s. Who did? Oh, Tripper Gore. Oh, I got you. Tripper Gore. Miss K should come back soon, says Patrick. That's super villain shit, Del.
What?
He's saying that's super villain shit, saying that setting limits on who could have kids.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's going to get real heated real quick.
Yeah. I think what you could do is not setting limits on who could have kids, but provide
parents education on how to be parents.
Provide parents education on how to be parents, and provide incentives for having kids later when people are financially ready, or provide, because there's a lot of incentives like tax breaks.
Yeah, I mean that's true.
To have kids.
But when you start talking about people and like their bodies and what they can and can't do with it, it's going to start getting whole controversial.
Yeah,
and stuff.
I agree. I don't want to say set limits. That's pretty bad. But you could provide incentives, right? You could provide.
I mean, you could
tax credit for no kids. There you go. Tax credit for no kids, because there are tax credits for having kids. So provide some sort of. I guess it would kind of neutralize out, right? You just basically get a tax credit. But yeah, I sent you a message on Instagram, Dylan. Randall, I actually deleted Instagram. So just send me a text, actually. Pag chump balls. Dell on some euthanagetic shit. Yeah, Dell, I don't know what you want tonight, bro. Oh, man. Okay, guys. Thank you so much for coming out tonight. This has been Miss Celina. Follow her creations with Celina. Is that what it's called?
Oh, yeah. Side note, teachers don't make a lot. So I got a side hustle, friends. All right. Creations by Celina K.
You wanna
on Instagram. Yeah. Do you want to put it in the chat?
Yeah, just go ahead and type it out on chat.
Yeah. Follow me on Instagram.
Follow her on Instagram. If you have any requests for things that you want to make, or you have, requests for t-shirts, or you have requests for cups.
Shirts,
she makes some
cups,
bomb cups, bomb t-shirts.
Everything. Yep. Hit me up.
Support a teacher. That's the
Oh, yeah. So I did put it in the chat. I'm on my husband's account, though. T-Rex kills you. That's me. Okay. That's my husband.
My health issue I said earlier was about COPD. Got worse. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. So send me a text and we can talk about that, buddy. T-Rex kills you is her account. That's the Instagram name. Patrick says goodbye. I call it strategies for strong communities. That's oh yeah. Wow. You call it that. Someone else calls it something different. We're just goodbye, guys. Celina, I'll keep you on.
All right.
Everybody have a great evening. Take it easy, guys. Thanks for daydreaming with us. See you guys Thursday.